guys, welcome in! Today we are going to be doing our story review for honkaistarrail 3.4's main story update. This is the Phainon story. I think it's called Coronal Radiance, or is that might just be the song. I think that's the song name, but it's the Phainon story from the 3.4 story, okay? The Phainon, Cyrene, Amphorius, I guess, flame chase journey conclusion, step off point into the next arc of the story. And yeah, so we will be going through a bunch of different things like the plot, pacing / writing, the visual storytelling, cutscenes, gameplay, music, voice acting, and just general thoughts on the overall enjoyment of it. Spoiler alert, I enjoyed it very much, okay? I enjoyed it very, very much. So this will be a probably pretty giga glazing review, if I'm being honest. So yeah, anyways, I'm excited. I had a very good time while having a very bad time because, you know, Phainon and his time was not very happy. So, you know, it's fine. But that's the type of stuff I live for, okay? I love emotional stories, especially when they're executed well, which I think it was in this patch. So let's do it. Before we begin though, if you guys enjoy, please make sure to smash like, subscribe. I'd super appreciate it. Smash the like button. Like Starrail smashed my heart. They smashed my heart in 3.4 and I still have yet to recover. So yeah, they smashed my heart exactly 33,550,336 times. So, you know, yeah, it's rough. Leave a comment down below letting me know your guys' thoughts on the story, if you guys agree or disagree with anything I say in this review. And also feel free to join the Discord server if you want to come chat, hang out, and have a good time. And apart from that, let's just get started. Here we go. Yeah, the 3.4 story, I loved it. I think the plot was fantastic. So that's the first point, I guess. So I guess a quick TLDR of the story, because I needed one for myself as well, since I was so lost in the sauce while playing it, is basically the plot was... This is a very dumbed down plot, okay? But basically, we got the end of the flame chase journey. They teased March. We got to see March interact with Cyrene and enter Amphorius. Lygus inserted us into his fanfic. And then Phainon broke free of the memories and regained all of the Castellana memories. And then Phainon squared up with the Nook. So yeah, that's a very very quick TLDR, you know, very accurate, I would say. But I think overall the plot was really, really good. They did a really, really good job with Phainon's character from start to finish. The pacing and writing was super interesting. At no point during the story did I get bored or feel like I needed to move on. Right? And I played all of the optional dialogue, okay? To be clear, I selected as much of the optional dialogue as I saw. I think I might have missed like one or two things in terms of the world exploration, but for the story dialogue, I read it all. And it was good. It was, every single thing was informative. It was very, very interesting, and I loved it. I loved the way that they told the story through a kind of non-linear-ish narrative. Yes, it was technically linear because we were, you know, I guess, we were gaining the information in a linear way, but the way that it was presented, because we were looking back at memories, made it non-linear in the way that we were absorbing it throughout the story, if that makes sense. I think they did a good job, okay? Because honestly, throughout the story, I was quite confused. I was quite confused as to what was going on because they gave us no context to what was happening, right? We didn't know we were gaining memories. I had so many theories about like, oh, are we gaining memories, or are we like reliving a like fake memory, or are we like, you know, going through something that actually existed? Who knows? And it was very confusing until the end, which is when they gave us all the clues, all of the puzzle pieces, and it all made sense. So I really liked that because I love it when stories do that, because then it feels like I'm actually watching like a show, right? It feels like I'm watching a show or reading a book in which they are creative in the ways that they give us the information, the ways that they feed us the information, and they drip feed us the clues until the puzzle pieces slot together when we get to the finale and the conclusion. And I think they did a really good job at that. It was interesting. I loved it because I feel like it was a way of storytelling that Starrail honestly has not really done that much before, in terms of just playing around with how they provide us with information. You know, I feel like a lot of Amphorius has honestly been just lore dumps, which, you know, I think if you want to see my thoughts on some of the previous patches, then you can go watch the videos for those. But it really feels like they were trying to tell us a story in a creative manner, both in the writing and just the narrative itself. So I really, really enjoyed that. And I think it worked really well, obviously, because of the fact that we were also, you know, in a way, reliving the experience through Phainon's eyes, right? Phainon was also gaining all this information alongside us, and he also had no clue what was going on until the end. So I think it was a perfect POV and perspective of his actual mindset and his mental state throughout all of it. And also, it was perfect because it helped us understand him so much, right? So then it had a lot more emotional impact as well as we were experiencing the stuff. So it's like we were Phainon. We were basically experiencing Phainon's POV. And I think that was a very, very well executed way of telling us what was going on, and I guess the overall context for the Flame Chase journey and Lygas's plan, and, you know, like what Amphorius actually is with the simulation and Iron Tomb and all of that good stuff. So very, very well done on that front. I really enjoyed it. It kept it interesting. And yeah, the optional dialogue as well, I personally felt was like so much better, okay? One of my big complaints from the previous patches was that a lot of the optional dialogue, as a story enjoyer and a lore enjoyer, I will always read the optional dialogue, just in case there is lore that I am going to miss. And one of my complaints from before was that a lot of the optional dialogue was honestly just really useless. It did not teach me anything and was literally just there to pad time. So I was a little bit frustrated with that. But in this case, like most of the optional dialogue I remember, I think there was in the fairy cave, in the grove, not the grove, but like the fairy, you know, the fairy tree area. There was optional dialogue to learn a bit more about the, you know, the tarot cards, I guess, of the Chrysos heirs, which I found really interesting. We also got to talk to the other heirs and stuff and learn about stuff. And then we also got to, I was at the specific point where we were looking at the different cycles, right? You know, the memory bubbles. I think before Phainon went Super Saiyan, we got to read a bunch of the different memory bubbles for the other Chrysos heirs and the different cycles that happened before, which offered, you know, lots of insight and for me added to the immersion because I was able to, you know, see directly what happened in some previous cycles. And that was optional too. So it was nice because the optional dialogue still had a lot of emotional impact and added to the story and wasn't just there to pad filler dialogue. So very, very well done with those as well. Yeah, just overall, the quality of the writing was just a lot better, in my opinion. I understand that not every update is going to be as interesting and epic as this one, because this was a conclusion update, of course. Yeah, the visual storytelling as well. I kind of talked about this already, but I, you know, loved the way that they basically had us go through the memories with Phainon and actually showed us what was, you know, what Phainon was going through rather than just telling us about his mental state, right? They could have very easily just had you know Phainon like talking to us about what was going on, but they didn't. They let us actually experience it alongside him, especially when during the second half when Phainon himself was getting all of the cycle memories. You know, we did those boss fights. We did the boss fights where they had, you know, the shades of the different previous Caslanas showing up as we're about to go square up against our friends. And I think, you know, stuff like that was just really, really impactful as well. And added a lot of interest too, because, you know, rather than them just telling us, we got to experience it for ourselves. And we got to see the actual effects of all of these memories and all of these cycles happening in front of our eyes. So it was very, very lovely, and I think that if they keep up that kind of creativity with showing us what's going on, you know, biggest thing with Starrail that I think a lot of us have been saying is I wish they would show us more with less telling, and yeah, they're heading in a good direction in terms of the showing and not telling. So love that lots. And then yeah, the cutscenes and CGs were super fantastic too. I actually think that in terms of the way they used the CGs, I thought that they were very creative in the way that they showed the CG this time around. Because you know how they showed the CG with Phainon's eye quite often? They showed us the few different variations of it. It was just so well balanced with what information we were learning at the time. Because we see his eye, we see him like, you know, zoom in on his eye with like just like one flame, right? And then we see a few other flames So it kind of looks like some lights. And then after, like as we keep learning more information, they keep adding more like flames to the eyes. And then we realize that, oh my god, those flames are actually the core flames, not just like regular lights. And then it's like mind-blowing. And then at the end, they even after the final one, they have the zoom out of his entire face looking really depressed. Surrounded by fire. Like it was really well done, the way that they utilized the CGs this patch, I think. And I loved that because it was paralleling the way they were giving us information, right? The CG itself was also showing us like little bits that we don't understand with the context, and then as we get the context, it makes more and more sense. And it was just it was very good. So I liked the CGs quite a bit. And then also, obviously, you know, there's a CG with Cyrene, Phainon looking onto the sky. There were just a lot of really pretty CGs. And then also the cutscenes. The cutscenes were really good. There were definitely a lot more cutscenes, I would say, in terms of comparatively to the amount of dialogue and story that we got from previous patches, and the quality of them was crazy. Dude, ending off the story with freaking the Phainon animated cutscene squaring up against a Nook, the one that they posted on the official channel, dude, that was so good. And I do like the fact that they did technically post that animation after the patch came out. So they didn't spoil it like last time. They didn't spoil it like they did with the Castorice patch. So they did say that they were going to do that. They were going to stop spoiling it, and they listened. They listened. So very good on that front. And yeah, I have nothing really to say about that apart from the fact that it was really good. And yeah, the gameplay itself, I did touch on this already before, but I do think the gameplay was also pretty good. I think a big part of the gameplay this time around that made it not as, I guess, draggy for me was honestly the fact that there wasn't like a new region to really explore. The core gameplay in this patch was, you know, going around and just like, you know, talking and learning things. But the fact that they added a new map for it, and then they also had they did a rerun of the previous bosses, but then they added extra to the reruns with the, you know, shades of Castellana as we're going through those cycles. I think it was good. It was good. We didn't really have any parts that were just, okay, I'm gonna handhold you through exploring this new map and doing puzzles that are irrelevant, honestly, to the story. So frankly, yeah, removing the puzzles from the story was a big W, honestly. Heirs Elysiae was a map that was added purely for the storytelling, okay? And I honestly, I'm totally fine with that. I don't need every single map to have, you know, a lot of puzzles and a lot of exploration to do. Because if they're adding the map for the purpose of giving us a visual experience during the story, right? Like going through Phainon's memories in Heirs Elysiae was definitely a lot better with that Heirs Elysiae map than had they not added the new map and just made us, like, you know, learn it through, you know, I guess, elsewhere, or having them just speak it to us, right? So yeah, like the map itself, yeah, new map doesn't compare to some of the previous maps for sure, but I'm fine with it because of the fact that it seems like it was added purely for the story. So totally okay if they want to put effort into making a new map for us to have a better visual experience during said story. So yeah, sorry, so just to touch back onto the optional dialogue real quick is, yeah, I also liked how they, you know, the digital interface that they added in the middle, the digital interface to give us a lot of the lore. I know I didn't end up reading all of it, but I also liked the fact that, yeah, they also made that basically optional too. So people who might not be as into the lore can skip it. And then also people who are into the lore also not only have the option to read it, but also the option to read it later as well. I'm pretty sure you can go back to that digital interface and read the lore that you didn't read during the story another time after you finished it. So the fact that they're giving us these options, they're giving us as the player all these options to read the lore when we want to read the lore is really, really good as well. Especially, I mean, that ties into the fact that they added the skip button, right? They added the skip button this patch, which for story skippers, they can rejoice. For me, I will, you know, enjoy the story and not skip, but the skip button is very good for the people who don't want to be forced into reading the entire story or playing the entire story. So that is a very, very big W. I don't know why it took them so long to add it. Honestly, it was very necessary. Also helps me speed through events a lot now as well, because I was honestly, you know, skipping through, trying to speedrun events before was rough. So the skip button, in my opinion, is a very, very good addition and a very long awaited, and finally, you know, at least it's finally here. Okay, better late than never. Better late than never. Yeah, and the digital database was a super immersive way to add it to. Exactly. Because the digital interface is directly from the story as well. It's literally what Lygus is using, and it feels like we as the player are able to witness the lore and learn about the world and lore through an actual prop from the immersive story. So yeah, I liked the digital interface a lot, and I still need to go back and poke around and read a lot of stuff that I missed, but overall, yeah, very, very nice. My favorite thing about Amphorius is the fact that they have done such a good job at building the characters, right? Like, yeah, Trailblazer didn't have, you know, as much of a role this time around. The Lygus fanfiction part, in the end, you know, it was that we were kind of, yeah, like we were the person that Phainon was waiting for, and then we were kind of like the representative of his inner hero, right? But I think that the way that they implemented Trailblazer as an MC and integrated them alongside Phainon's story was really well balanced. It didn't feel like it didn't feel like we were really intruding, I guess, on Phainon's story in particular. But we still were, you know, a significant role. We still played a very significant role in him being able to, you know, break free of the cycles. So it was just very well executed as a whole, in my opinion. And yeah, the music, dude. The music was crazy. The music was insane, bro. The song you guys have been hearing in the background, Coronal Radiance, God. Music, for me, plays such a big role in emotional stories, and also just stories as a whole, but especially emotional stories. And the tracks that they had during this patch were just really, really well done and fantastic. So no complaints whatsoever. Coronal Radiance still makes me emo as hell. The voice acting, holy shit. I will praise Joshua Waters till the end of the earth, okay? Literally, he carried so hard, okay? He carried so freaking hard. This entire patch was Phainon, and it was, and as it should be, Joshua Waters, Phainon's English VA, the range to his emotions, their emotions are just absolutely insane. The emotional moments, chills. The really epic moments, chills. Just chills all around, okay? He cooked so hard. And yeah, also Cyrene, Aiden Dawn, Cyrene's voice actor as well. She was so beautiful. I'm really looking forward to hearing more from her in the future. And then I'm so glad, you know, Dan Hong's voice actor also was able to return. And then just everyone's voice acting. It was amazing, and I loved it, and I am very, very excited about the future voice acting as well. But yeah. And then I also final note is I also really enjoyed how they set up. They did really good setup for 3.5 onwards too. You know, especially with that the digital interface, and then, you know, Lygus, and then mostly the digital interface. They just did a really good job at giving us even more information with the book as well, and making me very intrigued for where we're going to move in the next part of the story. Because to be frank, I have no goddamn clue. You know, I feel like we got this conclusion. We know that the cycles have broken free, but then, you know, Phainon has been reintegrated back into the Iron Tomb cocoon, and so where the hell are we going from now? Like the cycles, like Cyrene, like what are they doing? I don't know what's happening, guys. I have no clue, and I'm really excited to find out. So really don't really have any complaints, I'll be completely honest. Like I said, this is a complete glazing story review because I just think it was that good. And obviously, yeah. There was no excess yapping, in my opinion. Character writing, fantastic. Visual storytelling, fantastic. It was a completely amazing conclusion to the Flame Chase journey, and I have absolutely no complaints. So that's my review. Ratings, to be honest, yeah, it's this is the best story. This is the best story patch, in my opinion, in Star Rail. I think so. I really do think so. I think this is my favorite one from every single Star Rail story patch I've ever played. So currently it's a 9.5 out of 10, okay? 9.5 is the highest I go. 9.5 out of 10 for me. Cinema. Cinema. They cooked and I ate, okay? They cooked so hard and I am super, super excited for the future of the Star Rail story. Yeah, my only complaint is that Phainon didn't get naked with Mydei. Same. Okay, anyways, thanks so much for watching my story review. If you guys liked it, didn't like it, let me know down in the comments below. Feel free to like, subscribe if you guys did enjoy. And also join the Discord server if you want to come chat, hang out, have a good time. And yeah, let me know how you feel about these story reviews as well. If there's things I can, like, you want me to talk about more or less, let me know. And yeah, overall, fantastic. Very, very looking forward to the future of Amphorius. You know, I think Amphorius overall was off to like a bit of a rough start, but I have been invested in the story from day one. I really wanted them to improve the way they told it, and I personally think that they have. They have made massive improvements to their presentation and telling of the story, and hopefully they'll be able to keep it up and improve it even more in the future updates too. So then people will, you know, I think hopefully, you know, patches like this will be able to bring people back into Star Rail Amphorius story and just be able to appreciate just how amazing it is. So cannot wait for that. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. And I hope you guys will, yeah, let me know again everything you feel in the comments. And I will be looking forward to 2.5. Sorry, I mean 3.5. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye-bye, YouTube. Thanks so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see ya.